Greetings, community, and welcome to Andrew Green Comics and another edition of this week's signed books. This week, well, it's a LA Comic Con edition. This is everything that I basically not only got sketched, signed, um, picked up, extra pieces, things, but most importantly, what I ended up receiving was an immense amount of information, conversations that not only give me more depth to the stories in which that I read, but also future stories that are about to arise. Just rehashing history of relationships in which that I've had with many of these artists and creators throughout the years. Not only the relationships in which that were founded on just getting some of these things signed, but sharing things of our childhood, just being more personable, and in so doing, um, just having overall a tremendous experience. And I want to share that with you, the community. And overall, that I believe is the theme to behind what I want to be able to try to offer to the community today in this video. Prior to which that I go ahead and engage and show them which that I end up receiving and just start displaying things and start talking, I want to go ahead and recognize the individuals that are not only here, but also thank the ones that are going to catch me on the rewind. So I thank you a lot. And for those of you here, I want to go ahead and acknowledge you and say hello. How you doing, Christina? I appreciate you hanging out with me and Nansen throughout this episode. Yeah, you're awesome. Jack, how you be? I hope all is well with you because you know what? For me, can't complain. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Dagger. Dude, how you be? Yo, yo, yo. I want to start off with some of the sketches. I'll probably ending with the sketches also, but I want to go ahead and start off with those because um, this started me on a whole new journey. Not the sketches, but the idea behind them. Um, John Comics with Kids and I ended up spending some time together over at San Diego Comic Con at the end of the day, and we end up talking, and he ended up showing me some of the stuff he got, and some of the artwork in which that he received on a book that he's been working on for some quite some time, which was a he was working on a rogues gallery of villains, for X-Men stuff, and he's been slowly going all over different artists that even considering to do some work on these sketchbooks. Now, me, I end up receiving a deal on some sketchbooks that I couldn't pass up. I am a massive Spider-Boy fan. So when I end up finding these exclusives, that was the only way you can find a sketchbook of Spider-Boy, I jumped all over it. I ended up buying one as a test sample. Excuse me. And once I end up seeing the quality and product that I was receiving from this gentleman, I ended up deciding to go ahead and buy a lot of 10. So I have presently 11 blanks of the Spider Boys. I ended up bringing with me 2, with the purpose of getting at least 3 and as many as 4 pieces of work done on just the front cover, being that in my mind, that's all I'm essentially displaying. It's hard to have something rotating like what do they call those? Lazy Susan. That you can put somewhere that it can rotate. It'd be cool, it'd be awesome. It's not really practical or realistic in my case. So what I decided to do is go ahead and just have the front covers done. So I know I'm getting extensive, but I know it's a lot of setup, and I do want you to understand why and how I was doing this. So in my mind, I already had individuals that I was preconceiving to do some of these pieces, depending upon obviously the amount of money that they were going to charge me. So first of all, one of the main characters in Spider-Boy, aside from the obvious Spider-Boy, is a character called Madame Monstrosity. Now, she created Spider-Boy's present condition, and what we'll learn down the road in future Spider-Boy books is that it is her concoction. It is her tonics. It's her, whatever you want to call it. That also led to how we end up with some of the first characters that we see with the mutations that we have seen with other characters in the past with Spider-Man. Meaning, to my understanding, I believe Rhino was actually created because of her elixir, her concoction. That doesn't mean she was directly involved. It just meant that she was involved somehow, along with a few other of the older and more established grade A characters that are known and associated with Spider-Man. That I am learning. So again, getting back, I want to go ahead and get that main character, and in my mind, who I thought would be best to do it was Miracle Andolfo. I knew that she would be at LA Comic Con after speaking with her over at San Diego Comic Con and having her sign a few books. I then asked, one, if she would speak to me, have a small interview, and two, possibly do some work for me when we then met at LA Comic Con. I received a yes on both. As far as the interview is concerned, I really didn't do it. I didn't roll anything. That's all. So my apologies. I could just relay information. As far as the work, I have the work to here done. Skipping around, I know, again, like I said, there's a lot of setup. But skipping around, what I end up doing is I have frequented Tony Fleeks so much because of the various books that he's done. So I end up hanging out with Tony Fleeks along with Tone Rodriguez quite a bit over the weekend. And in doing so, a lot of people come by, especially those in which that used to work with them on things like My Little Pony and so forth, which leads me into Agnes. Now, Agnes Garbalska, she worked on the My Little Pony stuff with Tony, and I also have been a fan of hers for quite some time. I wanted her to do a piece. So the piece in which that I was thinking about, I was hoping that she would end up doing for me, it was a character called Gutterball. He also makes his first appearance in issue number 1 of Spider-Boy. There's also another character in which that I was highly, finding difficulty finding to do, which was, it turned out to be serendipitously, Derek Hunter ended up showing up there with Ryan Otley. Now, those two had a relationship for quite some time and have known each other for quite some time. If my understanding is correctly, they used to, I think at one point, maybe roommate, but definitely lived in the vicinity of one another and hung out with one another quite some time in the early years and development of that Invincible Time era. So let's say the early 2000s all the way up to almost 2010. That's also when Derek Hunter was conceiving the idea of doing the story of Pretty Violent, along with having Ryan end up doing one of the covers. That was something that the pre-established and preconceived quite some time ago when they were playing with characters of youth and just talking about characters they want to develop. When Derek ended up doing it, I love his art so much that I finally ended up realizing that he was the perfect person to do the final individual that I wanted on the first sketch that I had completed, which is again with Mirko Andolfo, Agnes Garbalska, and now Derek Hunter, who end up doing for me Balloon Man. Now, these are all main characters, and you see in the first 2 issues of Spider-Boy, and they establish what is to be the overall theme behind a Spider-Boy comic book. Doesn't take itself too seriously, has some pretty awesome characters, and here they are. I know it's a long setup, people, almost 9 minutes, but so what you have on top is Madame Monstrosity. You have Gutterball, which is kind of obvious, and then you have Balloon Man. Now, what I thought was funny is Balloon Man, if you look, he's wearing that that hat. Fedora, I don't know how he got into that glass bottle, that bowl. I was scratching my head looking at that. Wait, how did that? Now, the story behind these characters, well, you're going to have to read Spider-Boy. They're fun. They're awesome. And I can't get enough. And again, these were some of the, just a few things that I got at the LA Comic Con. Moving on, and I swear this one will be a quicker one. As I made mention, I also was speaking to Tony Fleeks, Tone Rodriguez, and Dustin Nguyen. Dustin, I was chasing around for quite some time, and he was one of the individuals got some work done. The other way around, that John got some work done by Dustin, and I was looking forward to getting some work done. But at the end of the day, at San Diego Comic Con, I was way too burned out. So I made plan on this journey to get his work done, and who I was thinking about Dustin doing was Puzzle Man. Makes his appearance in issue number 8 of Spider Boy, and I just thought it was perfect for Dustin to do. So he ended up assigning to and asked to do a piece for me, which was again Puzzle Man. I had Tone. I wasn't certain what he would gravitate to, and when he saw a character in here which is called Toy Soldier, but he recognized the individual as, oh, my brain just went away. So if you see it, go ahead and call it out when you see it. Ultimate adapt. Oh, you guys will get it. Anyways, Tone was like, "Oh my God, no way! I'll do that." And so it's Toy Soldier, which you'll recognize as a different character, but he's a miniature version. And then I asked Tony, "Hey, can you look at some of these characters and make consideration of what you would want to do for me?" And he picked out the most difficult character, Elefino. This is one of the main and biggest characters that is closest to Bailey. And he took this thing overnight and I was just blown away at the work that he did. He made it look like this is a true cover, and I was just truly floored. This is what they did. So that's Tony Fleeks on top. Right here is Dustin the Winds piece, and down on the bottom, Ultimate oh God, I almost had it. And then Toy Soldier on the bottom by Tone Rodriguez. So these are the two pieces that I had done as far as the overall sketch work that I want for my two covers. And I am so thrilled. I couldn't be more happy with the pieces that I got done. And then with the individuals that I end up doing them. I think they best represented exactly what I was looking for. And I think it fit their personalities, who did what. I look forward to showing these things to Dan Slott and also give them my possible other options for individuals to do some covers for them. Because me, Tony killed it with Helafino. I ended up hanging out a little bit, see it, with Scott Koblish. Now, he's a friend of the family's. I can go on and on with Scott, but I ended up doing a mini interview with him. He's a great guy. He's a fun guy. And this is the piece that he ended up doing for me. This little guy has 20 and 20 and 20 and 20 and 20 and 20 and 20 vision. And I love him. So, yeah, I was totally stoked that, hey, K-pop, how you do? That not only Scott gave me some cool conversation, and we had such a great time. Unfortunately, when I went to go see Jerry wasn't there. Jerry's also another great guy. I ended up hanging out with him probably for over a half hour, and we just shot it. We have a good time just hanging out. So he ended up previewing me to a little mini interview. You can see that on well, just check out one of the videos on Entropy and Comics, and you'll see it there, along with many of the other mini interviews I did at the LA Comic-Con. So let me keep going. Now, there's an individual in which that when I first started doing YouTube stuff with my son, we end up meeting an individual named Richard Fairgray. Now, Richard always did exclusives for a company that did children's books. And this character that he did was Blastosaurus. He's a total fan. Love his stuff. For years, I've been giving out Blastosaurus books during Halloween. I met Richard again this year at LA Comic-Con and told me that he not only broke ties with that company, however, he flipped on exactly what he's doing. No longer doing children's books. And he said, if I like those books, maintain what I want and keep. He's taken the same premise and just 180'd. It's all now adult-oriented. Blastosaurus is now totally adult-oriented and leans way towards the LGBTQ and is not appropriate for kids in any way. He did contact those responsible that would go ahead and give him a world's record, because he does hold a non-titled record for the most dicks on a cover or on a page. When he was telling me all this, it just was kept blowing my mind. Richard's such a nice, fun guy. It just was hard, difficult to assimilate everything that he was telling me and process this, because it was such a far cry from what he was doing before. It was just destroying my brain and melting it. I was having so much fun, and as you see, I ended up buying the book, so I'm looking forward to getting that, and Richard was kind enough to sign that one for me too. So moving out from that, let's go ahead and talk about my time with David Boer. Now, David Boer is another individual that Kai and I, when we first met, that was the whole birth of 1-2 Comic Talk. Was after the meeting with David Boer, Kai and I had a conversation. We went across the street over to, I can't believe my brain just went away from that. It's a world's famous hot dog joint. Yeah, it's gone. So anyways, we went over there, and as Kai was fishing around for some Pokemon on his game, we're having a cool conversation inside. Well, let's go ahead and do a YouTube channel. And that was the birth of 1-2 Comic Talk 1 month later. That's been 5 years now that I've been speaking, hanging out, and have David Boer sign my books. I've been loving the story of Kanto, and we're now only 2 issues away from its finishing out. I did read issue number 4, and the story of also I want to get to is this. David has known me to be a very organized individual, so when I showed up, he knew there was something a little bit off. So he said, "Hey, Kevin, how are you?" I said, "I'm a little disheveled." He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I went through all my books, and for like almost 2 hours, which is probably excessive by 1 hour and 55 minutes, I kept going through my stuff and not finding issue number 3 of A Place Like Home." And he just said, "I got you." I said, "Really?" He said, "What cover?" I said, "Well, if you have it, possibly." He said, "Well, let me check it out." So we looked through. Unfortunately and oddly, that was the only cover he did not have. I picked up cover B. Read both issue 3 last night and issue 4. And like I said before, it's getting close after 5 years of the story finishing up. And there was another thing that I ended up just hanging out with David. After talking to him and after, extensive pushing, I know there's individuals like John Comics for Kids and other individuals out there that really like collections and omnibuses. After talking with David Mack, he's actually put together all his Kabuki stuff that consists of like 1,300 and like nearly 50 pages. It is going to be like I can't even make my hand that wide how big that book is going to be. After discussing this information with David Boer and calculating the number of pages, he said his book would be probably under 600 and around 35. He decided that it was definitely something that needed to be pushed. So look for a collection of everything Kanto in one gnarly 600 plus page book that I have no idea I'm going to find the money to do, but I'm probably going to have to find a place and money and somewhere to put it, because are you kidding me? So after having those cool discussions, he ended up signing a few books of mine, and this is a Comic-Con cover from like 2 or 3 years ago. This one is damaged, unfortunately, and I'm going to be doing some giveaways, and I'm going to be doing some little mini auctions personally of a way that's never been seen before, which should be fun for you guys, because you're going to dictate in some regards what I am going to be showing. You'll see. But anyways, I had David sign this for me, which I love that cover. It's such an awesome cover, and if you know what it's from, you know what it's from. And here's an issue 4, as I made mention. Here's the issue 3 that he hooked me up with, which is a cover B, which we were laughing as he expected me to next time be a little more organized. I thought that was funny and a nice poking fun. David, you know how to get me. All right, and issue number 1, which, guys, you know me. I always get 2. It's probably why I'm going to end up having to get rid of some soon, along with a number of issue 2. So I was so stoked to not only get that set, because this is some of the stuff that I haven't been able to get signed by David of late, and the only stuff, because as it stands, I pretty much got everything signed by him. It's just because I run into him so often. Yeah. Okay. That's lots. So I'm going to try to retain you because there's a lot to go through. Now, check this out. I didn't get all my local man stuff signed. I will end up seeing Tony down the road, please. And so, what I wanted to get, and I didn't realize after watching the video with Tim Seeley, is that Local Man issue number 25 jumps 12 issues in front because we go from Local Man, I believe 13, right to 25. And there it stops. Seriously, as it stands right now, it ends. And there's really no future serious interest in developing, being that both Tim and Tony are so busy doing other stuff. That is not stating that they won't come back and revisit, because in my opinion also, this character has a lot to tell, and in what I was hearing from both of those guys, they still have stuff to say, just not today. So anyways, what I'm getting back to is this book, which will be out October 16th. Yeah. So in not 8 days, this book will be out. So here's now, if you know that these are all flip books, and that pays homage to the original image books that we're first releasing. So yes, I am only showing you one side, and there is connecting covers that, you know, how this works out. You can probably see how it does. Also, the idea behind it is it gives you a, see how it says image of tomorrow? There is from my understanding, an image of the past, an image of the present, and an image of tomorrow. Even though I am showing two of which that show images of tomorrow. I think that's it, past. Oh, no, wait. Image of tomorrow. And then I think that's this. All right. So they're all, but on the other side, I think there's a past and a present. My understanding, that's how it's supposed to work out. And they're all like a connecting thing, too. Anyway, so I had to buy all three. Why? Well, you know me. Plus, this is not even out. I bought in the future. This is not even supposed to be out for another week. I bought the last three. So mine. So that was, I thought was really cool because it does make sense why they jump into the future, 12 issues, and then why it stops. Why? I haven't read it. I don't know yet. So, hey, Tony, thank you. This is that old other Koblish book I was telling you about that I got Scott. So there's Scott. Yeah. Like I said, I kept missing Jerry. So, Jerry, I'll end up seeing you, I think, over at Revenge of Comics and Pinball. We're going to have another big party at the end of the month. So hopefully all the comic book artists and creators will be able to hang out there. We're going to get stupid again. I'll try to end up recording some of that stuff and uploading a little bits like I did before. So, you know, look forward to that. But plus, I'll be able to finally finish off the Koblin Duggan thing because, or Koblish thing, because every time I go somewhere, I keep missing the guys. I told myself, I think you guys are messing with me. I'm going to stick with, no, never mind. I'm going to flip back and forth. So, Dustin and Win. See how I'm just everywhere? After talking to Dustin and watching him do this piece, you know, he's like, hey, dude, you know, I know I've seen you before. Or we talked. I go, yeah, man, you know, we've seen each other online and stuff like that. And he's like, but do we know some of the same people? I go, oh, yeah, you know, I know some of the artists and creators. He's like, no. Where are you from? I go, oh, like Manhattan Beach area. He's like, no way. I was born and raised in Lawndale. No way. I only tell people Manhattan Beach because most people don't know. And we both said Lawndale. I go, no way. He's like, yeah, dude, I went to Lucifer. I go, are you kidding me? So we started talking and we hit it off. I had no idea that he ended up growing up only a couple of blocks from which that I did too. It was obviously because I'm such an old guy, almost a full generation difference. You know, I have a little bit of years on him, but it was so, it took me back a lot that we were naming some of the same places and the same things. And it just cracked us up that, you know, as it tends to be, our worlds get smaller when we start communicating and opening up our minds. So it was really a fun experience to hang out with them and him reflect on some of his almost, you know, his nostalgia. and because I invoked it, I was just telling stories. So it was a lot of fun. It was just freaking awesome. And how that relates to what I'm going to talk about right now is growing up, and we were talking about some of the same places. Growing up, we had the longest running comic book shop here in Los Angeles was a place called Jeffrey's Comics. It established, God, I want to say late 70s, unofficially, early 80s, officially. Back then, a lot of people, you end up doing a lot of their comic book stuff out of people's garages. Comic book shops started out of people's garages, not kind of like what you think. It's just that they would order newsstand stuff to their homes because you could, and then just deal out of your homes because you could. So that's what a lot of people did. Bob's Comics did that. Jeffrey, a lot of the people around here did that throughout the late 60s and early 70s, and throughout, in some cases, up into the 80s, where most people had to kind of put their shit into a brick and mortar place to kind of be somewhat legit. That was the birth of Jeffrey Comics, and was, like I stated before, the longest running comic shop up until recently. Last year at New Year's. Yeah, New Year's Eve was the last day, and they shut down. Now, that was a birthplace of a lot of individuals to start. Danny Mickey and a bunch of other individuals started out of there, along with individuals that were writing. I don't want to get too extensive on that. What I want to focus on was Danny Mickey. He and I ended up hanging out together because that was a place in which that I was buying a lot of my books from. There, the Comic Exchange, and a few other places that were just around. Or if I went to Hollywood eventually, Golden Apple and so forth were around. And these were places that were not only harboring great books, but talent. So I ended up getting and hanging out with Danny Mickey for a period of about 3 years before he ended up getting picked up by Image and taken away in a good way. Excuse me. His talents were then utilized in many of the Image books, and then moving forward into a lot of Batman stuff. So presently he's working with Jeff Johns in the universe and developing a lot of the stuff on Hyde Street, along with another book coming out. I think it's Devour. Now, I end up getting these things signed by both Jeff and Danny Mickey. I love reminiscing with Danny, even though, unfortunately, he doesn't remember me. The beauty is he doesn't remember me. He and I got in a lot of situations as kids. We're kids. And the cool thing is if he doesn't remember some of the stupid stuff that I did, and then hey, and that's fine by me. So the cool thing is he also, I did him in an interview and had a great time talking to. I did meet him at 4Color Comics in the past. I've met and rapped with him in the past, along with Norm Ratmoon, who they two have a tight relationship with, and just have a pleasure of hanging out with. So he also then signed my books along with Jeff, and I look forward to hanging out with Jeff at the end of the month to talk to him more. So yeah, they end up signing these things. Jeff is local around here, and he's been extensively busy. I hope to talk to him at the end of the month when we're not at a massive con, and I'm gonna try to get in that brain of his and ask about development. Where is he when it comes to some of the development of this? When it comes to studios, I want to see what answers he gives me, because I can try to substantiate that. All right, and then he did these for me. These are the 1 in 25s. I love Scout Boy. This guy's a nut. This is going to be, in my opinion, another one of those hits. I can't wait to get in fully to this universe, and the expansion of these different deviating multiverses that he has within his own little world is just freaking awesome. I don't know how he's keeping it together. Me, I'd probably already gone nuts by now, but he's managing. He's managing. So yeah, 3 of the ash cans, 2 of the A covers, and then 2 of the 1 in 25s. I was so thankful that one, they gave me the time to ask the questions in which I did, and to sign my books, and 3 to give me the information that I truly was looking for, and in a straight and just genuine manner. I just really love that, and I look forward to true development. I mean, I want to see these things in some type of film or some type of capacity. All right, moving on. Yeah. All right, now Melissa Flores has been a relatively new talent in the market of today as far as publishers are concerned. But when she jumped aboard and made a huge splash. She was instantly recognized when she did her work on, what was it, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and soon segued over working again with Jeff Johns on the Radiant universe. So she was working on some stuff, and from there, not only showed that she can pretty much work with anyone, but quickly Marvel ended up grabbing her up, and she's been working and doing some pretty stupendous work there. Truth is in the sales, and once she ended up doing this book, everyone just had to have it. Now they may not necessarily, and that's her signature right there. They may not necessarily have been just trying to get this cover, which, you know, obviously it's a cover to get. Get it? The A cover to get. But most wanted this cover, which is, yes, Phantasma this is the full appearance, even though the cover appearance was on another book. This is the actual full appearance, and she was privy enough to be able to go ahead and write this character and had no idea how well received it was, to where now here we are seeing it in the top 10 of sales from last week as far as the new books moving out and around. This is a great story. She is a great writer, and she is the one that is also doing Biker Mice from Mars, which is in production and it is coming out. And this is the first miniseries to, I believe, an ongoing or a maxi series, I believe, coming out in around 3 to 4 months. Look for it in the beginning of the year. I had her also sign that for me too. I was totally stoked to hear how well she was doing and how busy she is. So I really like her approach in writing, because it does translate to be able to be made into movies. It's easily translatable to be storyboarded. She knows how to do production, and I'm looking forward to development of her works, especially how fast she has gone from essentially an individual that was relatively new to the publishing markets to someone essentially skyrocketed doing, you know, again, one of her first true works in the Marvel universe, and it just takes off. All right, so now Kyle Higgins also is an individual that hangs out around here. I was being a little bit cheap, being I was spending so much money not only on my sketches, but Kyle, along with Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and a few other people that I'm going to end up seeing anyways at the end of the month. I didn't want to spend a lot of money that I needlessly had, but I also wanted to contribute to the reason why they have to be there and pay for the, the table and everything. So I didn't want to totally skimp out too. So what I definitely want to get, what I thought was really important to me, was this. I wanted Kyle to sign my books and talk about Ultraman and the Avengers and how, because he knows I'm a massive fan of Ultraman, how that eventually ended up working out to be. I had a great time with Kyle. Kyle's a great guy, and he's so open to just warm and true and authentic conversations about the things that we love. And it's cool when you start getting into conversations with individuals that truly have a passion for what they do, because especially when there's no one around, next thing you know, half hour goes by and all you've done is, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your sales or anything. They're like, no. It's such an awesome time to be able to spend with these artists and creators that I just find myself lost in time. So, all right. Now, as you saw, that I end up having work done by Tony Fleeks, by Tone Rodriguez, and by Agnes Garbalska. How that all started is because I end up bringing to Tony, who in turn told me, have Tone, who in turn pointed me over to Agnes to have signed this book, which led me to the whole development of who I wanted to definitely place on the book and how I wanted to place them. So I was not only excited to get this signed, which is one of my favorite Farrell covers of all time, but I was looking forward to having them do the pieces on here. And as I made mention before, every once in a while, I will just arbitrarily and sporadically bring those back out. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, again, I am totally stoked on the work that I've done. A total of 7 sketches, and I really am stoked with the individuals that end up doing the contribution to those books because I'm going to cherish that forever. Now back to what I was talking about. Barrel. I'm going to put this guy over here. And Tony Fleeks and Tone Rodriguez, they do such an amazing work on here. They are the contributing team along with Trish Forstner. As a trio, they do awesome work. And I call them the 3 T's. Those 3 T's, Tony, Tone, Trish, are just a perfect working machine. They really know exactly how to deliver a book now. And it's just a well-oiled machine because of how well they know each other. So I already had issue number 1 pre-signed. So here's issue number 1, second print. And then third print. The homage covers. And then all right, here is cover A of issue number 2. You can see signed by Tony. All right, now this is the 1 in 10. Now, this brought up some interesting conversations because the marketing behind this was screwed up. The information that was allocated and then received and all that screwed up. So this is an issue number 2. All right, it's a glow in the dark, and for those that ordered issue number 1, no matter how many you ordered, you can order unlimited of these up to the amount that you ordered of issue number 1. All of its variety. So if you order 10, you can order up to 10 of these. Now, they were actually listed as 1 in 75s. So most shops didn't know that they were still eligible to receive it, even if they only ordered 10 of the original of the cover A's or any other cover of issue number 1. The improper labeling of that meant that many shops didn't actually order them because they didn't order 75 and they thought they were ineligible. That's not how it worked out. I went to shops that only ordered as many as only 10 of the issue number 1 and ordered 10 of these. Seriously, there are places like DCBS that are selling these things as much as $300 a pop. Seriously. So as we were having conversations, and this went all the way down on how other things were mislabeled and unfortunately affected sales of some of the individuals that were writers or artists or so forth trying to push their books. That can cause a problem. So this is something I definitely wanted to not only get signed, but perfect example of having a story attached to the stories in which that we read. Moving on. Issue 3 of Feral. Seriously. Cover A, the 1 in 10, and the 1 in 10, and the 1 in 25. And then moving on, issue number 4. I think that is. Okay, here we go. Cover A. I like how he signed on the leaf. So they both did it next time. All right. Cover B. Love these homages. And it's just like in Stray Dogs. The 1 in 10. Times 2. And issue number 5, I believe. But this is the 1 in 25. in issue 5 of the 1 in 10s. Such great art. Cover B. Which is that? No, sorry, the 1 in 25. And if I recall, this is, I can't remember issue this is. I think this is issue 6. And this is an exclusive. I love this. All right, now this is the first official Marvel works that Tony that Tony did. Now he's been working with Seeley on a couple of projects. This being one of them. The other being what I was saying before, Local Man, which is in its completion. As I said also before, Local Man issue number 25 will be out to 10/16/2024. That finalizes it for now. And, you know, my understanding for some time. However, they did work on, and what they're working on, this. They're about to finalize their project works on this. Tony's just finishing out, I think, a couple more pages because Tony and Tone are on a little tour. They got some crazy number like 65 or so shops that they're visiting. So he's still finalizing some of the works in that. And yeah, I'm not only a massive Venom War fan and all this, but I am absolutely. Yeah, it is. Happy birthday, CJ. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Steve White. Appreciate you being here, buddy. And so, yeah, I've actually yet to jump in this thing, but I'm a massive, you know me, I'm a symbiote slut. All right, so as I made mention, I end up having Mirko and Doffel end up doing some work. I end up seeing over at San Diego Comic-Con, so I was definitely adamant about getting some work or a couple signatures from her done. Not many. I didn't slam a bunch in front of her. I look forward to seeing her more in the future. So I feel, even though I'll probably only see her once or at most twice a year, that I have plenty of opportunities. Sounds so odd to go ahead and have books signed by her. It was more important for me to go ahead and get the sketch work done than it was actually to try to get some signatures. But one of the books I did want to get her signed because I've had her sign some of the books for me in San Diego that I want to get done. But this one, I had Kyle sign this. I had her sign this. Now from here, I'm going to get Jeff to sign it when I go to the party at the end of the month. And then I'm trying to remember who else I was going to have sign this thing. Was it Wes? I think it was Wes. So yeah, I wanted her to sign this because if I recall, this is the beginning of the story in the Image Anthology series 30th anniversary edition. So I wanted her to sign that. I don't know, it was a big deal for me. All right, now Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing are individuals that I've known for quite, I don't know, let's say at least 3-4 years. I like these guys. These guys are a ball of fun. They have energy and a half, and it radiates off them. These guys have known each other, if I recall, since early days of college. I believe that's where they end up meeting. They got a strong relationship, and it shows not only in their work and how well they're able to key off one another in the development of the jobs and what they do, but how well when you end up meeting in person, how well they key off one another. And yeah, they're just, I don't know. They're always just so much fun to be around. They're just this awesome energy that it just, like I said, just radiates off them and it's contagious. So I get that from the work that they do. So when I end up finding out that they're going to end up doing the Spider-Man aspect of Venom War, I was stoked. I was so stoked. And now this is kind of unique because they don't normally sign separated like this. How they normally sign. I believe I have a decent example. Yep. This is how they normally sign. They stack the signature like that. So this is the Venom War Spider-Man. This is the first cover appearance of Spider-Man Peter Parker, King in Black. So yeah, I got what, 1, 2. And I do have books coming, but I'll have those guys sign them down the road. Like I said before, they were charging me like $5 per person per signature. And I was kind of being kind of chintzy. Because like I said, these I'm gonna end up seeing them in a little while. It's like I don't mind paying a little bit of the cost for you guys' booth, but I am not going to cover the cost of your guys' booth. Sorry. So as I made mention, I did not get to see Dustin Nguyen at San Diego Comic-Con. I was just too burned out. So when I ran into John, who we were kind of doing this throughout San Diego Comic-Con the whole time and not seeing one another. I know he was only there. I think he was there for the last 2 days. I was there 3. We ended up seeing each other at the end of the day of that Sunday. And I was like, I'm done. You done? He's like, I'm done. Didn't you want to see Dustin? I go, yeah, I did. He goes, well, look what the work I got. And he showed me a sketch. I'm like, damn it. You know what? Screw that. So I was formulating an idea of what I want to get done by him sketch-wise when he came to LA. But I decided I was also going to take what books I was going to get signed by Dustin just to LA. So this is what I was dying to get done. I love this series. Highly recommend it. This is one of those stories that very humanizes vampires, and it makes you look at people in general with more tolerance. And that's the beauty behind this book is these are kids and they didn't ask to be vampires. So that's the idea is it gives you a little check, even though that they're still vampires, and they just rather rip you apart. It gives you an understanding that sometimes people are what they are because of the circumstances that they're in purely. And that is what a big portion of what I was getting out of the book. And I truly enjoyed the artwork that accompanied such a great story. So I had Dustin sign those for me. Now, there's also an individual that I've known for some years. I've known Christy Shin. I've known Don Walker. I've known Don Nguyen, Don Ho. There's so many of these individuals that I've known for so many years because they're part of a group called the Sketchy Bug Group. And another individual that was part of that Sketchy Bug Group was an individual, Caden Phoenix. She also works in the production realm that I do, along with she is heavy into the comic stuff. She is an individual that I totally respect, and I really enjoy her work. She's been working on a piece that unfortunately got discontinued because of circumstances over at Scout, and then she had to redo it and is now doing it under a self-published piece or under because it's a connected piece. And I'm trying to remember Night of the LACC or something like that is connected to, which is going to be in production on some type of Amazon thing. As true information comes out, I will give true information to you. It was just something that I know that she's been working on, and I'm just totally stoked that I finally got the track her down, see at LA Comic-Con, have her sign my original Scout comics that weren't really supposed to be released, but I had her give me the issue 2 to it, and issue 1, which is all wrapped in this neat little new publishing company that allows her to get this new book out. So I was totally stoked to not only see her, have her sign my other stuff, but actually get the second portion of this series. I believe there's going to be another book that comes out that actually, because I knew it was supposed to be a 3-issue mini, that will complete the story. And this is the vampiric lady gang, which all this world is bunch gang related, that I believe is LA based. And it's it's from my understanding, it's going to be a series, I believe, like on Amazon or something like that. So I'm totally happy for her. That is everything in which that I ended up getting. I know it was just under 50 minutes. I know it was a lot, but as you saw, I ended up receiving oh, just what, around 65 books signed, and essentially signed by well over 100 signatures on all these books. It was 3 days of mayhem and awesomeness. And I just can't say enough that I am so grateful to Mirko Andolfo, Agnes Garbosca, and Derek Hunter for doing this cover for me of Spider Boy. And Tony Fleeks, Dustin Nguyen, and Tone Rodriguez for doing this cover for me of Spider Boy. And of Scott Koblish for doing this awesome 20 by 20 by 20 by 20 by 20 by 20 by 20 visions creature for me. It is just a friend that I want to have forever. And for those of you that caught me on the rewind, for those of you that have been hanging out with me on the live, CJ, dude, I appreciate you. Christine is always throwing out all the links. K-pop, thank you for being here. Dagger, dude, Steve, you the man. I believe Hack, yep, there he is. Hack was here. And then Jag, dude, thank you. And anyone I may have missed on the live and or on the rewind, I appreciate you stopping by. And that's it from me. Entropy. You guys stay well.